They don't call them the comeback Canes for nothing, as the Carolina Hurricanes go into Edmonton and not steal only 1 but 2 points as they strike oil in a comeback win against Edmonton.
You're Locked On Hurricanes, your daily podcast on the Carolina Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to a Wednesday episode of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you to the Everyday for making this your first listen of the day, Monday through Friday, talking everything about your Carolina Hurricanes. I'm your host, Zach Martin. I'm the credentialed Carolina Hurricanes beat writer over at the Hockey Writers, where I also do weekly column in the Chicago Wolves called Wolves Weekly. I am the co-host of the Surge Cast, which is a weekly Carolina Hurricanes podcast, along with all of my duties here at Locked On Hurricanes. Got a very awesome, fun Wednesday win episode for your Carolina Hurricanes here on Locked On, as we get to recap the comeback win that the Hurricanes had over the Edmonton Oilers on Tuesday night, 3-2 in an overtime winner. Thank you to Sebastian Aho. Get to hear from Rod Brind'Amour in his post-game conference what he thought of the game as the team was able to come back down from 2-0 after the first two periods and win it in a huge game to kick off the Western Canada Pacific Northwest part of the trip. And we also, at the last part of the segment of the show, get to hear from Martin Necas and Frederik Andersen, and Necas getting the second goal that tied the game, and then also hearing from Frederik Andersen and his thoughts of how the team was able to come back. But before we jump into all that awesome action, today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Now, if you remember from my preview episode from Tuesday going into it, I said the one thing that the Carolina Hurricanes, one of my keys of the game was the Carolina Hurricanes really needed to focus on not taking so many penalties. Want to try to limit it to 2. Unfortunately, not the case where they did get 4, but the penalty killers did go 3 for 4. So unfortunately, their 9 for 9 got snapped. But all in all, you'll take 3. So now you're 12 for 13 after the first 3 games of the road trip. Not terrible. You'll take that. You'll take a 12 out of 13. So it's just one of those things where it didn't really work out in your favor, but, it still kind of worked out overall that you're able to, at least damage the power play in some fashion. But also, you want to think about the players to watch. And I said you need to, Shane Gostisbehere's been on a hot run. I want to see how he does. And, oh, man, did he come up clutch for the Carolina Hurricanes once again, as the Hurricanes have scored 4 straight games with a power play goal, and it's, of course, from Shane Gostisbehere getting his 4th straight goal as well in 4 games. He is just absolutely clicking on all cylinders, and you love to see how frequent Ghost is showing his sightings here to start the season off for the Carolina Hurricanes. And also, how about Sebastian Aho? I think he needs to turn over a game, be dominant like we saw for Connor McDavid early on in the game where he scored the first 2 goals and only goals for the Edmonton Oilers. While it wasn't a dominant game, I would say, from Sebastian Aho, he still came up clutch when it needed to be, and that's something you love to see. So in terms of looking at your players to keep an eye on, Shane Gostisbehere, congratulations on 4 straight games with a goal. And how about Sebastian Aho coming in clutch when needed in an overtime winner that you really, really needed? But going back to the game, just looking back over the game, the Hurricanes did get outshot 35-33, but they kept it pretty close with Edmonton. Did lose in the faceoff percentage, but the power play, Hurricanes 50%, 1 for 2. I mean, hey, doesn't matter ask how, but how many, and they got one when they really needed it. And like I said, the penalty killers were able to shut down the Oilers, going 3 for 4, only giving them 1 to Connor McDavid in the second period. And in terms of hits, this is the first time that the Hurricanes actually out-hit a team this season so far, 25-14. Block shots pretty close. Edmonton 15 to the Carolinas 13, but Connor McDavid is unfortunately inevitable, and that's what it was for the Hurricanes early on, where they were down 2-0 going into the second period. And it's just, when you watch the first 2 periods, you were it was kind of frustrating when you watch, and it's Stuart Skinner putting on a clinic, stopping pretty much everything that he's seeing from the Carolina Hurricanes overall, and you want to see more out of it. But you shoot 13 in the first period, 9 in the second. You got 22 shots on the game. You're out shooting Edmonton 22-19 after 2 periods, and it seems like they could not figure out Skinner. And it doesn't help too when you see Connor McDavid, and Nugent Hopkins finding a way to link up together in the first period, where they stop Sebastian Aho's chance. Nugent Hopkins gives it to McDavid, and of course, McDavid doing what McDavid does, coast to coast, buries it. It's 1-0. At least that was the only goal of the first period. And then in the second, it didn't take long, 2 minutes and 30 seconds in, Connor McDavid with a power play goal, got assists from Draisaitl and Bouchard. You would think that's one that Frederik Andersen probably wants back in terms of it was right on him in the crease. It was somewhat 5-hole slides through. You thought initially he had it. Not the case as the puck went in. It's definitely one of those things where you kind of wish, like you said, you would love to have that back from him. And it's an unfortunate situation how it happened overall. And it's, it is what it is for how that worked out for him. Like I said, that's definitely one where you would love to get back if you're Frederik Andersen overall. But as I say, don't ever count out the Canes. And we saw that from last year, a lot of comeback wins to the Carolina Hurricanes. That's what they call them, the comeback Canes are the cardiac Canes for a reason. You never want to count these guys out. And oh my goodness, what a turn of events the third period and the rest of the game went for the team, as it only took 44 seconds for Shane Gostisbehere to once again flex his muscle and be the guy that he really needed to be as he scores his 4th goal of the season in 4 straight games, and it's another power play goal. Like I said, you wanted a power play specialist, you wanted someone to be your quarterback of that. Well, that is Gostisbehere in a sense, as that is back-to-back games for him with a power play goal. I think it's like 3 straight games now with a power play goal from him. Only 44 seconds in, and what amazing passing by Sebastian Aho and Martin Necas to find. Of course, this is after Stuart Skinner made a huge highlight reel windmill save to stop the initial onslaught that the Hurricanes gave. But talk about great passing, too, for the fact that you look at what they did in terms of just moving the puck around, going from Gostisbehere to Necas to Aho. Aho rivals it right back to Necas, who puts it in a great 1-T for Gostisbehere, who absolutely just rips it over the shoulder of Stuart Skinner, gets the Canes on the board, and as Mike Maniscalco puts it, we have another ghost sighting. And man, Gostisbehere has really put on a lot of ghost sightings the first part of the season. Like I said, scoring 4 goals, you will absolutely take that, and that's the one. And Mike even said on the broadcast a little foreshadowing. When is he going to score his 4th goal of the season? Well, there you go. Talk about some Nostradamus stuff from Mike Maniscalco for the fact that he called it that was going to be a Shane Gostisbehere goal at some point, and he got it in a great way too. And that's Martin Necas' 3rd assist of the season and Sebastian Aho's 4th. And that's not the only point for Necas in this game, as he ties it up 13:29 into the 3rd period. And thank you to Eric Robinson for a huge assist. Great outlet passing from the Hurricanes on this one too, absolutely using their speed for a counterattack. And this is something I talked about early on in the season, even in the preseason as well, that Eric Robinson's got some underrated speed that even Seth Jarvis mentioned going into training camp, is the fact that his speed is very underrated and something that a lot of people need to keep an eye on. This play in particular is very, very huge for the Carolina Hurricanes. The fact that you get a breakout out of your zone. Kotkaniemi throws it up to Necas. Great ability to stop the puck with his skate, put it on his stick, find Robinson on the sidewall, and then Robinson threads the absolute needle of this puck. Full blast pass, like no sauce on the ground, kept it flat, but just put enough juice on it to get it to Necas, who was on the far post, just able to tap it in. No wrister, no bomb, just stick on the ice, directed the puck right in, and that was an absolute beauty of a sequence. Like I said, KK with a great pass to Necas. Necas finds Robinson, then Robinson threads the biggest of needles through the smallest of holes to get it to Necas, who put it in. Tie game, and you saw the elation of how he felt of just how huge that was for them. Battling back, you go down from you erase a 2-0 deficit, you tie the game, and you do it in such a huge, fast-paced way that you love to see. And that's something that the Hurricanes are definitely going to use a lot more this year, where they need to really use a lot of their speed, and that's something that came up clutch for them. So, and I'll say this too. How about just Barrett Kokiniemi? A quiet 4 assists. You got to give him a lot of credit. While he's not scoring goals, he's putting pucks on net. Unfortunately, he's hitting the post a lot. Talking about the most snake-bitten scorer on the Hurricanes right now, just Barrett Kokiniemi, but he is being able to get those assists that he's really, because last season he got a lot of tertiary assists instead of like the primaries and the secondaries. If there was a tertiary stat for assists, he'd have a lot more points. But it's one of those things where, it's kind of lucked out for him so far in the first 5 games of the season, where now he's got 4 points, all assists, but you'll take that. And that's something you really need out of your defensive center that you see in just Barrett Kokiniemi. So got to give him some of his flowers as well for how he's doing so far this season. And then in overtime, coming up clutch once again, how about Sebastian Aho getting a second goal of the season? This one with a goalie in the net, because I know someone mentioned it, that he has to score a goal with the goalie in the net, and he did it. And talk about just Frederik Andersen coming up clutch for the Hurricanes in overtime, doing a lot of key saves that they really needed to do. But then it's Sebastian Aho, Shane Gostisbehere, and Martin Necas. The 3 guys you really want on a 3-on-3 situation for Carolina, because Necas is Mr. Overtime. Aho is someone you really want to score in overtime as well. And, of course, you got Shane Gostisbehere, who's on absolute fire right now. And Shane did get his first assist of the season. So 4 goals, 1 assist for 5 points. Hey, you'll take that in the first 5 games if you're Shane Gostisbehere and the Carolina Hurricanes. But how about a great way for Gostisbehere to go after the puck that's about ready to exit the zone, find a way to get the stick on the puck, flip it out enough to where you get to Martin Necas, who's streaking into the zone, collects it, shoots it right over to Aho, who's all alone, and just absolutely blasts it top cheddar off the bar down in the net to beat Stuart Skinner, and your Carolina Hurricanes come back and win this thing 3-2 in overtime, strike some oil, get that win, and now you exit Edmonton, sneaking not 1 but 2 points on the board. You're back in the win column, and you are feeling good going into the Calgary game on Thursday night. So very awesome to see from your Carolina Hurricanes, the fact that they come back and played in a huge part of not quitting on itself, not rolling over and being like, oh, well, it's Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers. We saw this last year. Let's just, try to see what we can do and, not do some damage control. No damage control in this one. Foot on the gas, kept in it. You see what happens. Shane Gostisbehere gets his 4th of the season. Huge power play goal. Martin Necas ties it up on a huge sequence from him and Robinson and Kokiniemi. And then in overtime, Martin Necas, Shane Gostisbehere adding points to their night. And then Sebastian Aho finds a way to score his goal as well for a multi-point night for himself. All 3 goal scorers, multi-point nights. Martin Necas with 3, Shane Gostisbehere with 2, and then Sebastian Aho with 2 as well. Now we get to hear from Rod Brind'Amour in the second segment, get his thoughts on the Carolina Hurricanes. And, I would say I definitely agree with what he said and just being able to, look at the team overall. So stick around as we'll listen to the Rod Brind'Amour press conference and get my thoughts on it as well here in a second on a Wednesday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money on sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in reward winnings, PrizePicks has daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on the least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Think Justin Jefferson will get more than 83.5 yards next week. Christian McCaffrey run for more than 75.5 yards. Cook up hot takes with your friends and win real money this football season when your crew run your game on PrizePicks. And for me, I really like PrizePicks for the fact that, when I look at certain things, it's like, I think Justin Jefferson, could he get more than 83.5 receiving yards? Or maybe Patrick Mahomes can, pass for less than 265 yards per game? Who knows? But that's one good thing about it, is the fact you can decide if one of those things can happen. So download the app today and use code LOCKEDONAHL for $50 off instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Once again, use code LOCKEDONAHL for $50 instantly after you place your first $5 lineup. Where can you do that? Well, you can do that at PrizePicks, where you can run your game. Gametime is a new feature called Gametime Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. And we're not talking about just sports. We're talking about comedy, theaters, and so much more. So it's the great thing about it is the fact that you can do it for pretty much anything. Gametime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. And the one feature I really like is the fact that they're all in pricing, is where it's a feature that when you toggle this on, it will actually show your total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. And the curation makes it easier to save more on sports and, like I said, with comedies, concerts, theaters, and so much more. If you want to go see a Broadway play, there you go. You use Gametime for that. If there's a concert you want to go check out, well, Gametime Picks is a good place to do that as well. And the feature that I like the most is their panoramic view, because you get to see what you're looking at from your seat before you buy. No obstructive views, no awkward angles, all that's taken care of, because let's be honest, you want to take the guesswork out of buying tickets, and you can do that with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONAHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONAHL. That's LOCKEDON NHL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Well, it's game time. Welcome back to segment 2 of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day. Like I said, at the end of segment 1, we're going to jump into the Rod Brind'Amour press conference and get his thoughts on his team's comeback win. So without further ado, let's jump into that right now.
Come back from a 2-goal deficit, force an overtime, and walk away with 2 points. What does it say about the resiliency early on from this group?
Well, I don't know. I know what we have in there. We had one or not. That really didn't change anything. I just think the guys, it's one of those games where not going our way, anything was going our way. Even when we had chances, couldn't find a way to get a goal. It wasn't looking good, and then but they just kept playing. That's all you can do, and you got to give the guys a lot of credit for that. And obviously digging in to find a way there. Freddie made some huge saves to keep us in it, and then we made some really high-end plays, to find the goals.
Sebastian Aho talked to me about really having wanted to have capitalized the past couple of days. For him to do it in that situation, just how nice is it to see for him?
Yeah, well, you need your best players to step up. Look at their goals. Who's making the plays, right? The best guys have to do that. You have to get on the score sheet, and our guys did tonight, which obviously was the difference.
Well, did you end up making any changes after falling behind early on?
Yeah, we shuffled it around. I was, trying to get see if we get some life. Robbie didn't play much, and then put him up with those guys. Made a real nice play to Necas to get the tying goal, I think it was. And but at the end of the day, I thought, it was a pretty even game all the way through. Good. Certainly exciting. A little too much for my liking, but like I said, I thought we fought back for a game that didn't look too good for a while there.
What did you see from Freddie Andersen tonight?
Well, he just made some huge, saves. Listen, we said going into the game, they're going to get chances. You can't stop those, especially those two. They're going to create on their own, and then they're a good team, so they're going to create some. It's the nature of the game. We gave up a little too much, obviously, but he made some huge saves. That was clear the difference tonight, and allowed us to at least hang in there. And then, like I said, we were able to make a couple nice plays, and that was the difference.
Big thank you to Rod Brind'Amour and Carolina Hurricanes for that. And yeah, you definitely, when it comes to how the game went, and that's just something that Rod says, the fact that it was a lot closer than he liked for his liking, and just for the fact that what you have in that locker room, and you have guys who need to step up and come up clutch, and they did. And you saw it with Sebastian Aho, how he scored that game winner, and then just how they clawed back. And he said it's tough. It's tough to hold a team like Edmonton back, where you have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl and all of them too. Let's not forget Nugent Hopkins and Zach Hyman. It's one of those things where it's a game where you're going to have to completely battle, and that's what they did. And that's the one thing where, I posted the comparison stats between both teams, and I even said it on social media too. Don't overlook the Edmonton Oilers. Stats-wise, yeah, it's not great, but you don't want to overlook them and come into a trap game where it's Edmonton's struggling. They're 2-4. Offensively, stat-wise, they stink, and that was just not the case of how it came out. And You're looking at a very angry Connor McDavid who's not really enjoying the season that they're having so far. And, he comes out, scores the first 2 goals of the game, and then it's an all-out battle from there. But just being able to do what they did is something that's very huge for the Carolina Hurricanes. Like I said, you know what you have. You have the guys that need to, come up clutch what they do, and that's what they did. And looking even at the overall aspect of the game, how about Shane Gostisbehere? Second defenseman in franchise history with with a goal in 4 consecutive games. The only other defenseman was Dougie Hamilton in 2019. Big shout out to Kane's stat brand for that little nugget. And then how about Sebastian Aho? He scored his 56th career game-winning goal and moved within 1 of Ron Francis for the franchise record, which is 57. It's really awesome to see for the fact that you look at how it's another feather in the cap for Sebastian Aho, where he's finding a way to just being able to be that guy that the Hurricanes need to be right now. And in that, you're one within a franchise legend for a game-winning goal. You came up clutch when you needed to, and that's something that Rod Brind'Amour said. It's just finding a way to come back, finding a way to play your game, even though it's, not the greatest way of doing it, having to do it in that fashion, but being able to not quit, being able to claw back, do what you need to do, and that's what the Carolina Hurricanes did, and that's the one fortunate thing for them is the fact that they found a way to get it done, and that's what they did. And I agree with them for the most part in terms of, it's just when you're playing the Edmonton Oilers, it's going to be a battle, but you got to find a way to stick within your game and find it. It's nothing's going your way early. You got your chances. Like I said, first 2 periods, you're putting up 19 shots, and it's not really working out for you. And then they find a way to get the goals start clicking in, and then it's just, you kind of find the momentum and it works out for you. It's just one of those things where it's are you going to roll over and die, or are you going to, find a way to put yourself in a way to make it work? And that's what they did, because they didn't roll over. They didn't quit. And that's what worked out for the Carolina Hurricanes. And that's what you saw. And that's why you see them coming up huge in a very big game that works out in their favor, to where, hey, you won the game. You came back. Now you get to go into Calgary Thursday, where the Flames are a very hot team right now, which, like I said, we'll preview for Thursday's show. But that's something that's going to be huge for them going into that game, where now you take down Edmonton, you go into Calgary, you keep this ball rolling, you pick up another W, and you can start a little nice 2-game winning streak, and do you get yourself ready for the Kraken over the weekend. But overall, Rod is very happy with his guys, but you can definitely tell it wasn't the prettiest of games, but like I said, it's not how, but how many, and they got the necessary many that they did. So stick around here as we get to listen to Martin Necas and Frederik Andersen's press conference as to get my thoughts on what they said post-game after the win. So stick around as we'll talk about that here in a second on a Wednesday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you can place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Where can you do that? Well, you can do that at FanDuel.com. Welcome back to segment 3 of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day. And like I said at the end of segment 2, we're going to jump into the Martin Necas and Frederik Andersen press conferences and get their thoughts after the Hurricanes 3-2 win over the Edmonton Oilers, and get my thoughts on that as well. But first, we're going to jump into Martin Necas, listen to what he said, and I'll give you my thoughts after that. So without further ado, let's check in with Martin Necas.
I think we took 4 penalties in the first 30 minutes, which kind of takes your momentum a little bit, and then we got it going last 10 minutes of the second, and we just scored a goal there on the power play at the beginning and third, which kind of gave us the hope, and then we just rolled them over.
How much of a calming factor was Freddie Andersen able to provide in those OT situations?
Yeah, he was great. There was a lot of chances back and forth, and he made some huge saves, not just in OT, but the second, third as well, and he was amazing.
I know for you personally, that burst of speed, it's something we talk about through the neutral zone leading to your goal opportunity all season long. But in terms of this one tonight, what's going through your mind in that moment?
Yeah, just you see they're playing man-on-man, especially in the overtime, and, get a little more space, build up your speed. They're already a little tired, and, just great plays by all of us, and, started with Frederik right there.
Big thank you to Martin Necas and the Carolina Hurricanes. And, Marty said it best, is the fact that, it was a slow start to the game. Obviously came in when they really needed to. The power play goal very early for Shane Gossesbehere kind of helped out. Then, Marty scoring the Gametime goal. And then it's just like he said, from there, it was just they were all over the Edmonton Oilers. They found a way to be capitalized when they needed to. And of course, you get the game winner with Sebastian Aho. So, once you kind of feel the momentum shift to where you're down 2-0, you get the power play goal from Shane Gossesbehere early in the third period, less than a minute in, you're kind of feeling, okay, we got a game. We're in it, just need one more. And once Necas put it in off that, nice little tap in from the pass from Eric Robinson, you kind of feel like the momentum shifted in Carolina Hurricanes' favor, and it was just all Hurricanes from there. While the shot totals weren't really reflective on that period overall, in the third, it was 11-8 in terms of the Edmonton Oilers, but it was one of those things where the Hurricanes kind of felt like they had the momentum on their side. And even in overtime, too, the Edmonton outshot Carolina 5-3, but the third one that Carolina really needed mattered the most, and the puck went in the net. So it's just finding a way, like I said, throughout this entire episode, the fact that they found a way to stay in the game, come back, claw their way back, and find a way to score, to get the game winner, to not take but 1 but 2 points. And Marty Necas said it best. It's just, they kept finding ways to put pucks on the net, and, once they were able to get the first one, get the game tire, it was just all, they were all over Edmonton from there on. And that's what you kind of see where once you take the momentum, you suck the life out of the building, then it's okay, now it's game on. And it just kind of worked out in the Hurricanes' favor. And they even asked about Frederik Andersen, how huge he was throughout the game and even in overtime. And Marty said it. Having that calm presence of Frederik Andersen back there making the clutch saves when he needs to. Yes, might have one goal that he would love to get back, especially that second one from Connor McDavid. But, not wavering, being able to stand tall when they needed to, especially in overtime, making 5 huge saves that kept them in the game, and then the Hurricanes are able to capitalize. So, kudos to Frederik Andersen for finding a way to not let the other goals bother him, stay cool, calm, and collected, and be the great Dane that he is, and be able to shut the door on the Edmonton Oilers. And speaking of the great Dane, let's hear from him right now and get his thoughts on the Hurricanes' 3-2 win over the Edmonton Oilers.
3, obviously, that's a big hole to climb out of, but we had obviously a great power play coming in to the start of the third, and got some momentum and then kept on going and got rewarded for the tie.
Where does the never say die attitude come from? I mean, you have to have something like that to come back like you did.
Yeah, I think we have a good group in here. I think we're just trying to play the way we're kind of, our identity is just hard work, really. Trying to grind them down and get eventually get rewarded with some good plays. Obviously, we have still tons of skill, but the work has to come first. So, we're just happy we were able to claw back and get 2 points.
Sebastian Aho getting a lot of ice time out there in OT. What are you seeing down at that opposite end, kind of leading to that opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, he's just dangerous. Obviously, he's great at both sides of the puck, and he can sniff out some offense, obviously, and that was huge today.
For you mentally, in a game like this, facing that opposing team, the Connor McDavids and Leon Draisaitl's of the world, how do you personally stay mentally and focused dialed in?
Yeah, I think you don't want to really take any breaks out there, but you definitely know when Connor has the puck, there's some dangerous stuff could happen, and obviously he's a hell of a player, so guys did a pretty good job of eliminating him, even though he's so dynamic and will create some good plays out of barely any room. So obviously the forwards and D had their work cut out for them as well. So, but obviously we stuck with it and got the 2 points.
Big thank you to Frederik Andersen and the Carolina Hurricanes for that. And just hearing Frederik Andersen, how calm he is, and just how he's like, it worked out perfectly to where, that's the room that they have in Carolina, where that's their work ethic, is the fact that they won't just roll over and just accept defeat. They're going to come back, claw their way in. And like I said, I've been saying it all episode, man. It's just one of those things where they kept at it, no never say die attitude. They found a way to come back and get the 2 points that they really needed instead of just taking the. I mean, hey, it's after coming back down from 2-0, you'd be happy to take a point, but to be able to go and take the second one as well, you love to see. And just how Frederik Andersen just put it perfectly. That's just the identity of this team. And we've seen it every year from the Hurricanes, is that you just never want to you never have to doubt these guys, because at some point they might lose a close game, or there's might be games where it didn't go their way, but there's never a game where you don't feel like that they just let it go. They don't quit. There is no quit in the Hurricanes, and that's what you've seen that over the last few seasons with Rod Brind'Amour at the helm. And and just talking about Sebastian Aho, how clutch he is, and that's why he's the player that he is. And Andersen put it perfectly, is the fact that he's a highly skilled player. He knows how to put pucks in the net, find the opportunities on both sides of the ice, and makes an impact when he needs to. And that's what Sebastian Aho did. Yeah, maybe he's having a slow start, but he's got 5 points in 5 games, and that's a very quiet 5-5 outside of the game-winning goal, where it was like an exclamation point. And, you saw how excited he was to score that goal, but being able to not play at 100% Sebastian Aho, but still have 5 points in 5 games, really speaks to the level of how of a great player he is, and someone that, once he gets rolling, watch out for the train that is Sebastian Aho. So it's just good to hear from, guys like Andersen and Necas, getting their perspectives on just the game overall. How are they able to come back? The fact that there was a no quit attitude in these Canes, and you could definitely see that just from how you're down 2-0, you go into the last period, you get that power play goal really early, tied up with Martin Necas, and then Sebastian Aho ends it with a bar down goal to steal the win from the Edmonton Oilers, and now you go into Calgary Thursday night and hopefully keep that momentum going. But big thank you to the Carolina Hurricanes and Rod Brind'Amour, Martin Necas, and Frederik Andersen for the audio. Love to always hear from those guys, from themselves specifically, just to be able to get their thoughts and stuff like that. Because you can hear me and hear my opinions and stuff like that too. But it's also to get good context from the guys as well, just to get their perspectives on how the game went and all of that. But that will wrap up a Wednesday episode of Locked on Hurricanes. Hope everyone enjoyed the show. If you want to follow everything that I'm doing, covering the Carolina Hurricanes and the Chicago Wolves, go check me out at OneTrueZach on X. The podcast is _Hurricanes. I've linked to my bio where you can check out all my articles at the Hockey Writers, or just go to thehockeywriters.com. You can check out all that stuff. The podcast, my other podcast that I'm on is the Surgecast. You just go look that up on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. For this show, Locked on Hurricanes on all podcast platforms. Leave a 5-star rating and review, because I might just read it on the show. There's also a link to this podcast on YouTube. Make sure to hit subscribe, hit the bell notifications so you don't miss the show. Hit the thumbs up button. Let me know if you like the show as well. Make sure to share with all other Caniacs that become everydayers just like you, because we are well over 1,000 subscribers. But let's keep this going. Let's go to 2, 5, 10,000 subscribers. Let's keep this ball rolling, because we love to be able to get more everydayers just like you. But like I said, I hope everyone enjoyed the Wednesday episode of Locked on Hurricanes. Hope everyone enjoys their winning Wednesday from their Carolina Hurricanes. And until next time, as always, let's go Canes.